Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is going to be for Crossroads of Twilight by Robert Jordan. This is book 10 in the Wheel of Time series. This is epic fantasy, high fantasy. I don't really know what other subgenres it fits into, kind of a lot of them. It's very much epic fantasy in a lot of ways. Crossroads of Twilight is book 10 of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I think I mentioned that. To start off this review, though, I messed up. I remember very little of what I thought about this book as I was reading it. And the reason for that is that I read it over a year ago. I read it in January of 2024. I didn't write it down in my notes that I had read it, and so I just moved on past it without ever having reviewed it. And so now I'm going back and trying to think of some thoughts of what I thought about this. I had to go read summaries, watch summary videos, reviews, stuff like that to try and pull some things back into my mind of what happened in this book so I could kind of try and remember if I enjoyed it or not. And yeah, so I didn't do a review of it then, and hopefully that translates to me not having a ton of things to say now to where this becomes a super long video. But I don't know what's going to happen. We will see. I wrote it out and it seems to be about the same length as my reviews usually are in terms of what I have written down. So let's go. Before I get going into this though, I am T. This is an Erudite adventure. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will continue on with this review. I have gone back and watched videos and reviews, like I mentioned, summaries and stuff like that, just to try and call to mind some of the events of this book, and it has actually been decently successful. I do not remember each storyline that happened. There's a lot of details, especially since now I've read up through, by the time I'm filming this, I've read up through book 13, and so I've only got one book left, so this is book 10, and so I put a lot of other parts of the story into my mind, and so I'm not remembering every detail of this book so clearly anymore, and I'm not remembering all the storylines or where those storylines fit into this story and stuff like that, so there's a lot that I'm forgetting, and that is what it is. I can't do anything about that at this point. Really, what I do remember though is actually things in part to the very, very brief thoughts that I wrote on Goodreads. I wrote like 2 sentences on Goodreads or something like that, which I was unaware about until I just today when I went and looked at it to see what I rated it, which I put it at 4 stars on Goodreads, and then wrote these 2 sentences or 3 sentences or whatever. But those thoughts actually helped me to remember what I was thinking of the certain storylines, so that those will tie into my thoughts as I go through here. Basically though, what I remember, one of the main things I remember is that we don't spend enough time with Rand in this book, and that's always unfortunate. Rand is it's a problem that's unfortunately common with this series. Actually, there's been at least one book where he was almost completely excluded and only had very, very little to do. I think that was book 3. But yeah, there's some problems with this series excluding the main character, because Rand is the main character. There's several books where he's been largely absent and plays almost no role. While I do remember enjoying the moments where he was active in this book, there was simply too little of him, and we spent far too much time on the other characters, like Fael. Fael is a character that I'm mostly just bored and frustrated by her. Bored because I don't find her interesting, and frustrated because they spend so much time on her story. Jordan likes to spend a lot of time on Fael's story. I don't really mind how her story affects Perrin in terms of like causing him to have character development and stuff like that. That's fine, that's good, but I don't enjoy her, and I don't enjoy Perrin's storyline along with her, even though I appreciate that he's getting character development due to her and stuff like that. So it's what it is. Like I was just saying, I don't mind how it affects Perrin's storyline, but at the same time I don't even care for Perrin's storyline anymore. He has changed from the character that we'd known, and obviously I realize that this is called character development. This is what is supposed to happen. And he's just into an unthinking beast who pays no heed to anything and just barrels relentlessly forward in search of Fael. The entire book is basically him saying, I need to find Fael, and very little actual progress towards that goal. At least in terms of my memory of this whole section when he's searching for Fael, it spans more than one book. It spans like 3 books or something like that. And all of them, basically it's I need to find Fael, and there's nothing that actually happens towards that goal in terms of my memory of them. I basically just pushed it out of my mind because I didn't care that much. Matt is great in this book once again. I love his storyline, and I have no problem at all with the Tuon stuff. I feel like that might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I don't mind Tuon at all. I think that she's an interesting character, and I think that she is an interesting foil to Matt. Causes some good character development with Matt specifically. So yeah, I have no problem at all with the Tuon stuff because it's actually interesting, unlike the Fael stuff. So yeah, not much else to say about that other than that I don't mind it. And that's really what I remember about this, the Matt and Tuon storyline in this, is that I didn't mind it. The Egwene stuff, again, is pretty solid. There's a lot of her coming into her own, and this has been the past few books before this as well, where Egwene's really started coming into her own and becoming the character that she is supposed to be, that's kind of set up for her to be from the beginning of the series, and so that's good to see. And so yeah, that her coming into her own also applies to this book. She's stepped up and become the leader that she needs to be and make some narratively interesting moves and decisions, and I like what I'm seeing from Egwene in this book and where that's leading. Overall though, I actually enjoyed this book more than many of the other books, and I feel like that is also an unpopular opinion. I feel like a lot of people say Crossroads of Twilight is the worst of the Wheel of Time series, and I'm sitting here thinking, but it wasn't that bad. It was better than some of the other books that I've read. My opinion is pretty different than a lot of people on the series. I really liked book 1. After that, it wasn't until like book 6 that I actually really enjoyed another book from Wheel of Time. And then overall, the slog what is considered the slog has been more enjoyable than a lot of the other books, the earlier books in the series and stuff like that. So I don't know what's different about me, but I've enjoyed the slog a lot more than other people seem to, and Crossroads of Twilight as well. I do think this one ended rather abruptly. That was one of the notes that I had written on Goodreads, so I'm glad that I had that because I don't remember that specifically, but they have actually all ended rather abruptly for the past several books. But I guess at the same time, that is kind of to be expected with a series this long and books that are this late in the series, which is book 10 of a 14-book series. It's understandable that they would come to the end of their storyline so that they could then move directly on into the next one without a whole ton of falling action. But yeah, it's interesting to me that I find myself enjoying this book more than a lot of people seem to enjoy this book. Anyways, that is my thoughts on Crossroads of Twilight. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.